Hey folks, it is Bobby the Moving Broker, and today what I want to talk about is for a lot of people who are not aware of a moving broker and what a moving broker does. My job is for people that are looking to move, they call me, and basically what I do is working giving them a quote for their move. Now, my job, pretty much begins the moment a potential customer decides to book with me as far as getting their move done. And then what happens for me as a moving broker is to find, a mover that pretty much fits the budget of what that individual is looking for. Now, most of the time, people are, you don't know what their budget are. They're just basically calling and said, hey, I want a quote. And what I do is basically look at, I have to take, basically inventory of everything that you're moving. I have to look at where you're moving from, where you're moving to, what size bedroom that you're moving from, and also is there going to be any disassembling or assembling involved, right? Because all of those things are pretty much what gives me an idea of what's going to cost to do a particular move. Now, after that move is booked, after you decide, okay, you're going to go with me, then my job is to make sure I do follow up with my movers. I got to make sure that everything is okay, and especially a moving day to ensure that the move is going to be done, the movers are ready, or they're on their way to make sure the move is going to be done. And sometimes just, communicate back and forth if there's issues that need to be resolved. Um, one of my headaches, and this is headaches for everybody else too, is when there's a mover that can't show up for whatever reason, because then, that I gotta swing into action. I gotta find someone to cover that move, because that's one of the job of the moving broker, not only to book a mover to do the move, but also to make sure that if there's a situation where the mover can't show up on time, then, my job is to make sure that, or if the mover can't even show up, period, my job is to make sure that, that move is covered no matter what. And that can be a little bit tricky because every mover quotes the jobs differently. Some movers are much higher movers because they're more experienced and they have all the equipment. They've been doing it for years, so their price is going to be a lot higher. And then the average mover, has every mover. There's a certain price point for every type of mover that you're booking to do the move, and a lot of that is built with they've been around for a while. They have a really, really good reputation of giving superior services. And this is where, for me, booking a move comes into play because, when people reach out to me for quotes, I don't only go to one movers. I have a lot of movers in my database that I reach out to. And the job, the idea is to get a quote. So, you can get a higher quote, you can get a, in the middle kind of quote, and you can get a cheap quote. 9 times out of 10 people are looking for a more cheaper quote, and sometimes that have its own struggle because it pretty much the cheaper the move is, sometimes it affects the service that you're going to get, because a lot of times guys who charge for a cheaper rate are guys that haven't been around for a while, right? And I'm going to do a separate video on cheap quotes and cheap rates. Today is just basically giving you an idea of what a moving broker does. Our job is to go out to get you a move and to get you a quote, and at that point you can decide what works. So I get like sometimes like 5 different movers and 5 different quotes, and then let the customer decides what works for them. And what essentially that the moving broker does, it takes the time that you are going to take to be calling hundreds of movers trying to find a quote. What we do is we pretty much take out all that unnecessary phone call to hundreds of different movers, and my job is to go out and get that quote. So I'm the one that calls the movers. I got guys in my database that I call up and said, hey, listen, I gotta move, it's moving from here to here, these are some of the stuff that are going to be moved, and then let the customer decides at that point, which quote works for them. If it's too much, it's too little. And if it's not what they want, then obviously people are free to move on and go on. And if they want to continue calling, a number of movers, that's pretty much entirely up to them. But my job is to be your one-stop shop as far as moving goes. You're looking for a quote, I can get you a quote. I can get you a lot of quotes, and then you decide which works for you. And let people know, okay, these guys have done 5, 10 moves, so these guys are professional guys. They get the job done perfectly. Or, listen, this guy, I've never worked with this guy from before, so it's basically we're just gonna have to see what happens with this guy, because sometimes when they're looking to go cheap, I pretty much you have a cutoff point of how low you can go. But also, you sometimes I find guys that are just, some customer looking for something really, really cheap. I come across a guy, I just let you know, listen, I've never worked with this guy from before, but you want a much cheaper quote. So here's a cheaper quote, and we just have to see where that goes, because I can't vouch for it because it's just somebody that I come across, right? So you have to understand that, even though I have a lot of guys that can do the job, and the professional guys, half the time the customer looking for someone cheaper. So my key guys are probably won't land in the price point of what you're looking for. So therefore, I have to go and find someone who can do it for a lot less. And sometimes finding someone who can do it for a lot less, or not somebody I've had a lot of experience before. So that kind of mover is now is going to be somebody that we're going to have to see how it works. And I let our customer know, listen, this guy's a lot cheaper, so there might be an issue where he might not be highly professional, because they're just a new guy that pretty much pop up because you're looking for somebody that's going to cost you a lot less, right? So that's all I want to see on that video, folks. Listen, if you have any comment, drop in the comment section below. And folks, until next time, get started, and we'll see you later.